Good evening and welcome to Tinkering with Atkelar. It's the season where my day job keeps me extremely busy. To keep my video schedule, at least for now, I decided to finish up some older stuff. This is where I stumbled over what you could say was my very first tinkering project with some recorded video. It shows up in the intro even. The inspiration came when I was looking for a tiny test project for my new Arduino. As is custom, I started with the blink sketch and thought something similarly simple should make a good first project, but a bit more than just one lid. For the software, I went with a very tiny sketch in the Arduino IDE to keep as much memory as possible for the blinking data. I wanted to have control over the pattern. A quick and dirty PowerShell script created the data code for me. It took some time to get the PROGMEM feature to work. The documentation was lacking the hint that it required a specific read function. Here's a quick rundown. I'm configuring 2 pins as PWM output for flickering lights and 5 others as digital outputs for on-off ones. The main loop reads through the data structure and writes the values to the pins. The last value per cycle is the delay value. Once the loop exceeds the total number of steps, it starts over. I might optimize the structure to save space by packing bits together, but that would complicate the creation and loop code quite a bit. Time for a test run! The Arduino can source enough current and voltage on the pins that I can put 2 LEDs in series on each output and get 14 in total. Now for the outer design. Carpur was kind enough to accept a commission showing me all tangled up in a Christmas tree light string. I got the idea from a comic by Keno Don Rosa that ended in Scrooge McDuck asking, "Are the lights blinking S.O.S?" I transferred the location of the lights and the outline to a template and printed that. In my workshop, I first thought about using a plastic sheet, but I changed my mind and went for a thin sheet of plywood. Cutting out along the template lines and sanding the sheet was a bit dusty. This was when my dust collector was still a work in progress. Next, I transferred the location of the LEDs to the plywood with an awl and drilled the 3mm through holes. Since the ply is thicker than the LEDs are long, I also drilled with 5mm from the backside about halfway through so I can sink the LEDs and they would poke out in front. The Arduino gets mounted to the board with PC mainboard standoffs. Everybody into PC building has plenty of those lying around. After cutting the LED placeholders from the artwork print, I glued it to the board using double-sided tape. This avoids wrinkling of the paper that would happen with regular glue. The LEDs are wired as shown in the schematic, 2 per channel with a common limiting resistor. These are then all combined together for a supply pin. I soldered my wires to pins so I could plug them into the Arduino board and remove it during the non-Christmas season. And that's it, my very own homemade Christmas ornament. I put the source code up in GitHub as a test case for such a project. It includes a black and white version of the artwork. If you want to give it a try, maybe as a tinkering project between father and son, I'd love to hear from you if you make a version yourself. Link to the GitHub project is in the video description. And that's it for this episode. Happy holidays! See you next time! And that's it for this time. Episode.